The school's loner asked me to help her make friends. Rina Saito was eating lunch alone on the school roof when the loner approached her. Not just any loner. The loner. Chiaki Yamada, the girl who sat in the back corner of Class 2B, never spoke when this called on by teachers, and had somehow made it through 2 years of high school without joining a single club or attending a single school event. Rina had been in the same class as her since first year and couldn't remember ever hearing Chiaki's voice outside of classroom recitations. "Saito-san," Chiaki said, standing at the roof door like she was about to bolt. "Can I ask you something?" Rina looked up from her bento, surprised. Chiaki was small, thin, with long dark hair that fell in front of her face like a curtain. She wore the school uniform correctly, but somehow made it look rumpled, like she'd slept in it. Her eyes, when they briefly met Rina's, were sharp and intelligent. "Sure," Rina said, gesturing to the spot next to her. "Want to sit?" Chiaki didn't sit. She stood there, fingers twisting the strap of her bag. "I need your help with something," Chiaki said. "I want to make friends. You're good at that. I'm not. I thought, maybe you could teach me." Rina blinked. Of all the things she'd expected Chiaki to say, that wasn't even on the list. "Teach you?" "Yes. Like a tutorial. You show me how to talk to people. I practice. I get better." Chiaki said it matter-of-factly, like she was describing a math problem. "You're popular. You have lots of friends. You must know the formula." "There's no formula for making friends." "There has to be. People do it all the time. There must be patterns, behaviors that work." Chiaki pulled a small notebook from her bag. "I've been observing. Popular people smile more. They ask questions. They remember details about others. But when I try these things, people look uncomfortable." This was the longest conversation Rina had ever had with Chiaki, and it was deeply weird, but also kind of sad. The clinical way Chiaki talked about friendship, like it was a skill to be learned, rather than something that happened naturally. "Why do you want friends?" Rina asked. Chiaki looked genuinely confused by the question. "Because being alone is terrible." Obviously. That's how Rina ended up with a project she never asked for. "You're doing what?" her best friend Ayaka asked during their walk home. "Helping Yamada-san make friends. The ghost girl from 2B. Rina, she's been a loner for 2 years. Maybe she likes it that way." "She doesn't. She literally told me being alone is terrible." Ayaka made a skeptical noise. "And you believe her? She could be setting you up for something. Maybe she's secretly a serial killer and you're the next victim. You watch too many crime dramas. You're too trusting." But Rina couldn't shake the image of Chiaki standing on that roof, asking for help, with the same tone someone might use to ask for directions. Clinical. Desperate. Lonely. They started the next day during lunch. Rina found Chiaki in her usual spot, the library, tucked into the corner behind the reference section, where no one ever went. "Okay," Rina said, sitting down across from her. "First lesson. You can't make friends hiding in the library." "I'm not hiding. I'm reading." "What are you reading?" Chiaki showed her the cover. Advanced Quantum Mechanics. "For fun?" "Yes." Rina stared at her. "You're a second-year high school student reading quantum mechanics for fun? Is that strange?" "Yes. Very strange. Normal people read manga or, I don't know, romance novels. I've read those too. They're not as interesting." Chiaki tilted her head. "Is this why people don't talk to me?" "My reading choices?" "No. I mean, maybe partly. It's more that you're—" Rina searched for a kind way to say it. "Intimidating. You're smart, you don't smile much, and you have this way of looking at people like you're analyzing them." "I am analyzing them. That's the problem." Chiaki frowned, pulling out her notebook. "So I should smile more, appear less intelligent, and stop analyzing people. That's not. You don't have to pretend to be dumb. Just soften a bit. Show interest in what other people like, not just what you like." "But what if what they like is boring?" Then you fake it. Chiaki wrote that down. Fake interest in boring things. Rina had a sinking feeling this was going to be harder than she thought. Over the next week, they ran experiments. Rina introduced Chiaki to some of her more easygoing friends. It went poorly. So, Yamada-san, Ayaka said, clearly trying. What do you do for fun? Read. Mostly about physics and mathematics. Sometimes philosophy. Awkward silence. Cool, Ayaka managed. I like shopping. Why? Why? Do I like shopping? Yes. What purpose does it serve beyond acquiring necessary items? The recreational aspect is unclear to me. Another silence, even more awkward. After Ayaka excused herself, Chiaki turned to Rina. That went badly. Just a bit. I was smiling. I asked a question. I showed interest. You asked why she likes something, which made it sound like you think her hobby is stupid. Chiaki absorbed this. So questions can be aggressive, even when not intended to be. Human interaction is more complex than I anticipated. They tried again at the school festival planning meeting. The committee needed volunteers, and Rina thought a group project might help Chiaki connect with people over shared work. We need someone to handle the budget spreadsheet, the committee head said. I can do that, Chiaki offered immediately. Great. And maybe someone to help design the flyers. I'll do that too. And the schedule coordination. I'm very efficient. Rina watched the committee members exchange glances. They weren't annoyed exactly, just uncertain how to respond to someone so direct. After the meeting, Rina pulled Chiaki aside. You can't volunteer for everything. Why not? I'm capable. Because it makes you seem like you're trying to take over. People want to contribute too. Chiaki's face fell, the first real emotion Rina had seen from her. I was trying to be helpful, to prove I'm useful so they'd want me around. And there it was, the thing Rina had been circling around. Chiaki didn't just want friends, she wanted to feel wanted. Yamada-san, Rina said gently, you don't have to earn friendship. It's not transactional. People befriend others who provide value, entertainment, emotional support, shared interests. That's cynical. It's logical. Rina studied her. Is that why you've been alone? Because you don't think you provide value? Chiaki looked away. I'm not good at the things people value. I'm not funny. I don't like the same music or TV shows. I don't understand social cues. She fidgeted with her notebook. In middle school, I tried. I joined clubs, talked to people. But I always said the wrong thing or asked the wrong questions. Eventually, people started avoiding me. So I stopped trying. Until now. Chiaki met her eyes. You want to know why I asked you specifically? Rina nodded. Because you're kind. Not performatively kind, actually kind. I've watched you. You help people who drop things. You include people who are left out. You don't do it for social points. Chiaki's voice got quieter. I thought if anyone could see past the awkward exterior, it would be you. Rina's chest tightened. She'd thought this was a project, a good deed. But Chiaki had been watching her, trusting her, hoping she'd care enough to actually try. Rina said. New plan. What? We've been doing this wrong. We're trying to make you fit into groups that don't match who you are. Instead, we need to find your people. My people. People who like quantum mechanics and philosophy and asking questions. They exist. We just have to find them. Chiaki looked skeptical. Where? Rina grinned. I have an idea. The science club met every Tuesday after school in the chemistry lab. Rina had never been. Science wasn't her thing. But she'd heard they were always looking for members. I don't understand, Chiaki said, as they stood outside the lab door. Science club has 5 members. They're not popular. Exactly. They're not trying to be popular. They just want to talk about science with people who get it. Rina knocked. Trust me. A tall boy with glasses opened the door. Yes. Hi. My friend is interested in joining. Rina pushed Chiaki forward gently. The boy looked Chiaki up and down. You like science? Yes. What field? Physics. Specifically quantum mechanics and theoretical applications. The boy's face lit up. Seriously? We've been trying to solve this problem about wave function collapse. He turned back into the room. Guys, we have a quantum person. 3 other students appeared, all talking at once. Do you understand the Copenhagen interpretation? What about many worlds theory? Can you explain Schrödinger's cat in a way that actually makes sense? Chiaki's eyes went wide. Then she started talking. Really talking, in a way Rina had never heard. Animated, passionate, using words Rina didn't understand, but that made the science club members nod enthusiastically. Within 5 minutes they were at the whiteboard, drawing equations and arguing good-naturedly about quantum entanglement. Rina slipped out. They didn't even notice. The next day at lunch, Chiaki appeared on the roof again, but this time she was smiling, an actual, genuine smile. It worked, she said, sitting down next to Rina without being invited. Progress. The science club. They invited me to their study group and their weekend meet-up at the Science Museum, and Tamaka-kun wants me to read his paper on particle physics. Chiaki pulled out her notebook, but instead of notes about social behavior, it was filled with equations. We talked for 3 hours yesterday. 3 hours, and I didn't say anything wrong, because you were being yourself. I thought being myself was the problem. It was never the problem. You were just looking for friends in the wrong places. Rina bumped her shoulder. How do you feel? Chiaki considered the question carefully. Less terrible. The loneliness isn't gone, but it's quieter. Having people who want to hear what I think, who ask my opinion and actually care about the answer. She trailed off. It's good. Better than good. I'm glad. Saito-san. Chiaki looked at her seriously. Why did you help me? You didn't have to. Most people would have said no. Rina thought about it. Honestly, at first it was because you asked, and I felt bad saying no. But then I got to know you, and I realized you're actually really interesting, just in ways that aren't obvious at first, like quantum mechanics. You have to study it before it makes sense. Exactly like that. They sat in comfortable silence, eating their lunches. Rina noticed that Chiaki's posture was different, still reserved, but not defensive anymore. Like she'd stopped bracing for rejection. Can I ask you something? Chiaki said. Always. Are we friends? You and me? The question was so direct, so vulnerable, that Rina had to smile. Yeah, Yamada-san, we're friends. Chiaki. What? Call me Chiaki. That's what friends do, right? Use first names. Rina felt something warm in her chest. Then, call me Rina. Rina. Chiaki tested the name. Okay. A few days later, Rina was walking past the chemistry lab when she heard laughter. She peeked in and saw Chiaki surrounded by the science club, all of them crowded around a laptop watching something. Chiaki was laughing, a real and self-conscious laugh, at whatever was on screen. One of the club members said something, and Chiaki responded, making an exaggerated gesture that sent the whole group into more laughter. She was comfortable, happy. Ayaka appeared beside Rina, following her gaze. Is that the serial killer? She's not a serial killer. I know. I was wrong about her. Ayaka watched Chiaki interact with her new friends. You did a good thing, Rina. I didn't do anything. Just pointed her in the right direction. That's something. At the end of the week, the science club invited Rina to their Friday hangout as a thank you. She went, even though she understood maybe 20% of what they talked about. Chiaki sat next to her, occasionally translating the more complex concepts into simpler terms. You don't have to keep coming, Chiaki said during a break. I know this isn't your thing. Maybe I'm expanding my horizons. Or maybe you're being kind again. Can't it be both? Chiaki smiled. I suppose it can. As Rina walked home that evening, she thought about what Chiaki had said on that first day. Turned out, there wasn't a formula, just honesty, patience, and finding the people who appreciated you for who you actually were. A month later, Rina found a note stuck to her desk. Thank you for helping me. I wanted to give you something in return, but I wasn't sure what you'd like. Then I remembered you mentioned struggling with calculus. I made you a study guide. It's organized by concept with practice problems. I hope it helps. Matte Chiaki attached was a beautifully organized, color-coded study guide that must have taken hours to make. At lunch, Rina found Chiaki in the chemistry lab with the science club. She waved the study guide. This is amazing. You didn't have to do this. Chiaki looked pleased. You said friendship isn't transactional, but I wanted to. You gave me something valuable, so I wanted to give you something back. You already gave me something. A study guide? No, a friend. Rina sat down. I thought I understood loneliness before, but watching you go through it made me realize how lucky I am, and how easy it is to miss people who don't fit the normal social patterns. The science club members nodded in agreement. Chiaki's taught us stuff too, Tanaka said, about not assuming everyone wants the same things from friendship, and that being direct isn't rude, another member added. It's just efficient. See? Rina nudged Chiaki. You're a good influence. Chiaki ducked her head, embarrassed, but clearly pleased. That weekend, Rina invited Chiaki to hang out with her and Ayaka. They went to a cafe, and Rina watched Chiaki interact. Still awkward, still overly direct sometimes, but more relaxed. When Ayaka made a joke, Chiaki didn't analyze it, she just laughed. So, Ayaka said, Rina tells me you're into quantum mechanics. Yes. Do you want to hear about it? Honestly, not really. But I bet you're into other stuff too. Chiaki considered. I like detective novels. The logic puzzles are satisfying. Oh, I love detective novels. Have you read the Sakamoto series? They launched into an animated discussion about mystery fiction while Rina sipped her coffee, smiling. After Chiaki left to meet the science club, Ayaka turned to Rina. Okay, I get it now. She's weird, but she's good weird. Took you long enough. In my defense, she did ask me why I like shopping. She's learning. On Monday, Rina arrived at school to find Chiaki waiting by her locker. A first. Rina, Chiaki said no more, Saito-san. Progress. I wanted to tell you something. What's up? I'm happy. For the first time in years, I'm genuinely happy. Chiaki's expression was serious but warm. I have friends who understand me. I have things to look forward to. And I have you, who saw past the awkwardness and gave me a chance. Rina felt her eyes sting. Chiaki, I know you don't like being thanked excessively, so I'll stop after this. But thank you. For everything. Before Rina could respond, Chiaki did something completely unexpected. She hugged her. Brief and awkward, but real. Then she pulled back, gave a small wave, and headed toward the chemistry lab where her friends were waiting. Rina watched her go, this strange girl, who approached her on a roof and asked for help making friends, who'd taught Rina just as much as Rina had taught her. Ayaka appeared beside her. You're crying. Shut up. I have something in my eye. Both eyes. Yes, both eyes. Ayaka laughed and linked arms with her. Come on, crybaby. We're going to be late. But Rina took one more look at Chiaki, now surrounded by the science club, laughing at something Tanaka said, notebook tucked under her arm, but no longer used to record social failures. Just a girl with friends. Just a girl who was happy.